everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Today I'm joined by none other than YST. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's starting to become like I think that we always do. Like when these new champions come out, we're just
hmm
like flying out and getting these collabs out, and it's pretty cool to like dive into these new fusion epic champions as well. That I think a lot of people are a bit underwhelmed with, but
Yeah.
hopefully with these videos we can kind of showcase that not all of them are complete trash. I think
hmm
is the aim here anyway.
Exactly. The thing I'm excited about, I've seen a lot of people saying that Wuji sucks. You were saying it to me before this video that you've had comments on your videos as well saying Wuji sucks. Well, we'll see what you think after today's video. I'm going to try show her off as best I can. I think you're going to be impressed, and I've got a couple of fun surprises here as well. So, right, let's quickly go over her kit, then I'll show you how I built her. So the A1, she has a 50% chance to place weaken for 2 turns. She does a AoE attack, though, if she counterattacks, which is pretty cool, and that's sort of the key of what makes her, I think, decent. Her A2 is a 4-turn cooldown, AoE attack with block buffs, 75% chance. So, I mean, on its own, it's a pretty bad move. Like, if you compare it to, let's say, Ugo or Umbral, who are other epics, it's a longer cooldown, a lower chance, but at least it's something. We'll see how well it works or doesn't work in the run. Then her A3, Shinobi Arts, 3-turn cooldown, Perfect Veil counterattack on her for 2 turns, and then she's got a fairly dodgy aura, 20% attack in all battles. But basically, the way I decided to build her out, I did a guide on Oboro before as this Mischief tank, and the idea is very simple, that champions who put these buffs on themselves become the target head of Mischief. They bait the attack, right? He always attacks whoever has the most buffs. She's giving herself 2 extra buffs, and the great thing here is that one of those buffs is counterattack, which means that every time Mischief attacks her, she's going to trigger a counterattack, which is going to be an AoE. So we'll see if we can make it work now. I moved YST I moved you slightly out of the way so people can see her base stats here because
There we go.
yeah, this base HP, I don't know, man. Can you think of any champion that actually has lower base HP? It's
I'm not gonna lie. Until this video right now, I did not realize it was that low.
yeah,
My gosh, 10K. What?
10k. It's quite something. Now, her defense is actually really good, and she's got
Yeah.
great attack. The rest of her stats are good. Her speed's a bit low, but yeah. So this is how I built her out. If I show you guys the total stats, she's at 28,000. It's the best I could do. She's got 4k attack, 2.3k defense, 190-ish speed. I did build her with 100% crit rate, 220% crit damage, 457 resist, and 295 accuracy. So this is for hard Hydra. The tricky thing is going to be keeping her alive, obviously. You could probably not. You could probably ditch like some of the attack and the crit damage and stuff like that. Put her in like crit rate gloves, and try to crank her attack a bit higher. You could put her in like flat attack accessory, flat HP accessories to make her tankier. But yeah, it's what do you think? Am I going to be able to keep her alive? What do you think, man? How would
I
you do
think,
it?
man, this that base HP has completely thrown me off. I
Oh
was like,
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
looked at the kit and I thought, do you know what? I'm excited to see what you're gonna do with her, but now I'm a bit like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's worried. Well, let me tell you. Let me just jump straight over. These are her masteries, by the way. Straightforward enough. We do have her with War Master, of course. Solidarity is kind of a fun one. Give her a little bit more resistance with her buffs. And then more counterattack stuff, right? Because, again, if she triggers Deterrence, it's an AoE attack, which is nice. Now, here's the spicy thing. This is the surprise. We're going to be bringing in none other than Snick
Uh,
Track to the Hydra key, man.
oh, wicked. Let's go. I'm so hyped for that because I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite legendary champion from this upcoming patch?
uh,
Is it Snake Drac or
no. So I think Theodore is the best one.
I think I'm in the same boat as you then. I think this
Yeah.
guy is that Theodore's insane, but
Yeah.
that Rick, whatever's his name, we're just gonna call him Porcupine.
Yeah, Snick Track.
Yeah.
He looks badass. I think he's fun. We'll see him in this run. But Theodore seems like OP on another level of OP for speed farming dungeons, like Spider, Dragon, all the rest. But yeah, Snick Track, basically, why he's in here, AoE ally protection and reflect damage on everyone. But it's the ally protection. His A2 is an AoE decrease speed, and he also puts a huge shield on the enemies. With his passive, he's going to be putting Leech as well. And here's a slight spoiler for the comp. He's going to be our only healer. This Leech debuff is going to be our only source of healing in this team, right? And then he's got a decreased attack on his A1. So and HP in all battles aura. I got him with these masteries, and yeah, Guardian set to really double down on that ally protection. And I built him with really high HP, basically super high HP, almost 100k, 3k defense, good speed 224, and then some of these stats right here, not too much of anything, just enough accuracy to land the decrease speed, decrease attack, basically. But that's him. We're doubling down then a bit more. I've shown Mithrala builds before. I'm bringing in Mithrala here. These are her stats. These are her masteries. And she's coming in to do the Hex. Give us increased defense, increased attack. Increased defense will help Wuji stay alive. Increased attack, help her hit harder. And then she also brings a Cleanse, which we're not going to need too much, but the Strengthen and another source of shield, again, to help us stay alive. But it's going to be fun to see the Hex in action. And then another very requested champ. I don't know if you've used Ruel much, but I've been asked by viewers repeatedly, Nubkeks, since the Hex buff, will you bring in one of these Hex nukers and show us like how they do? So we're going to bring in Rule the Huntmaster here today in Relentless, get as many turns as we can. He's coming in with 5k attack, almost 250% crit damage, pretty high speed as well, almost 220. And we're going to see what Ruel can do. Obviously, Ruel has one of the hardest hitting AoEs in the entire game. Double hitter on enemies under Hex, ignores 25% defense if there's 4 more enemies under Hex. We've got Mithrala for the Hex. He can apply Hex himself as well. And yeah, he's got War Master here too. So yeah, that's who's going to be coming in. And I've forgotten the last 2 champs. I've actually forgotten. All right, brain. All right, I remembered. I checked. I've got the thing ready to go. So I'm gonna.
I've forgotten there's even 6 champions in the Hydra. I thought you were done.
No, there's more. We'll go through it quick here. Ragash, he's in this.
Oh, Ragash.
Yeah, new champion as well. I thought this would be fun too to showcase. He's got these stats so fast. It's pretty much it. Good speed. He's got really high resistance to be a backup mischief tank whenever Wuji gets eaten. And yeah, he's bringing us the AoE decreased defense. He brings us increased speed to go along with Snick Track's decreased speed, more strengthen. He perfect veils himself to help back up Mischief Tank, and he's going to be veiling actually Ruel, which is kind of clunky. Be better if Wuji is the highest attack champion, and he'd be veiling her, but it is what it is. Then the final champion, actually, we're going to bring in a buff extender, an ally attacker. Going to bring in Lanicus the Chosen, who's also, funny enough, sort of a backup Mischief Tank with really high resistance. Got her in good speed, though, and reflex. And she's just going to be doing her ally attack as much as possible, which does give us turn meter fill and extend our buffs. So that buff extension is going to it's going to help Wuji keep hopefully full uptime on this perfect veil counterattack.
Yeah, I'm just getting flashbacks of the faction games, Lanicus and all these other champions, man.
100%. Yeah, so it's hopefully a fun team. Let me get the video up and let's dive in. Let me show you how the run went. All right, here we go. Here is the run. We're diving in. YST, what is your prediction off the bat here? Again, bearing in mind, we've no healer. How do you think we're going to do?
I think we're going to... it's really hard. I'm going to say you're going to at least 1 key. If you surpass that by at least 10 million, I'll be like super impressed.
All right.
If I was to put a guess in, I'd say around 25 million.
Fair.
That's only because of the no heals, I'd say.
Yeah, the no heals is definitely spite. We have the leech from Snick Track, but it's not reliable. Yeah. But you can already see Wuji, she's doing her thing. With those buffs that she has on, the Head of Mischief keeps attacking her. We have her built with enough resistance. You want to be aiming for hard difficulty, probably about 460 resistance to be pretty much as safe as possible. For normal, 410 to be as safe as possible. You can go about 50 resistance lower if you got a good block buff champion. Wuji almost dies here. Just, you know, 10k base HP it's a little spicy, to be honest.
I've got substats on my rings of more HP than that.
I know, right? I know. It's pretty rough, but we've got the shields from Snick Track. We've got shields from Mithrala to hopefully keep us in it. We'll see how we go. And see Ruel's kind of slamming. One fun thing, I'm actually targeting the Head of Mischief because the Head of Mischief is actually very squishy, and he depletes their turn meter when he dies, so he's a good one to kill. And yeah, because we've got 2 sources of Hex, we get Hex on him really consistently, so we can just kind of beat the hell out of him, to be brutally honest here, which is kind of awesome. We just need to be careful. The one thing to watch out for is that the shield that Head of Decay can put out, that can be really awkward. So just be careful. You don't really want that shield going on to Mischief. It can kind of mess you up.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty nice epic, I think, because being able to place that weaken on that 81, because you're always going to
Yeah,
be counter-attacking,
yeah, yeah,
I think that's pretty solid, up until at least hard, I'd say, because of the base stats mainly.
yeah.
But even that block buffs and all that stuff, it's a really solid. Like if you guys don't have a block buffs champion yet on your accounts, even if you're just trying to do normal or hard Hydra, she could be a good one if you can do like I'm not sure how hard the fusion's gonna be right now,
Mm,
but
that's
depending how easy she is to attain, like she might be in like the four easiest ones maybe. So
yeah. We shall see. We shall see.
yeah,
But
we shall see. Yeah,
I mean, one thing you'll see through this run is because I did it on full auto, but picking the targets. So I was always trying to
yeah,
target decapitated heads and stuff like that. But and whenever we get eaten, we'll target them. But there's a couple of weird things that would be better if you manualed it. So the main thing was snick track because we're doing it on auto. We're not going to be targeting his A1 at Head of Wrath. So okay, you see Wuji almost dies, man.
oh my,
But yeah, so the decreased attack on Head of Wrath is not going to be 100% consistent. It's only when he counterattacks or randomly attacks Wrath or something that is going to work, which isn't super often. And you'll also see with the block buffs from Wuji, it's actually pretty bad, to be completely honest. Her block buff
yeah.
skill is really not good. She can weak hit several of these affinities. It's not a 100% move, and it's got a 4-turn cooldown. So you can see it out through this run, right? We're going to get lots of times Wrath is going to have all of his buffs. We're not going to have blocked it. Poison Cloud's going to get through, etc., etc. She's just not good at it solo, so you definitely want like another block buff champion with her, I think.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the safe bet. 'Cause
to make it
it's definitely
consistent.
getting.
But yeah, another thing. Okay, for viewers watching, let's see when Head of Wrath attacks us here. AOE. Are you ready for this? Watch the damage numbers on Head of Wrath. You see all those zeros ticking down? Did you see all those zeros, YST?
Yeah, that probably the ally protection, right?
No, so what's going on right here? This is something I realized doing this run is actually a big problem with Snick Track, which is really disappointing to me. So Snick Track, right? He's putting reflect damage on our whole team. And he also makes your reflect damage buffs on your team better. So normally reflect damage reflects 30% of the damage. When Snick Track is there, it reflects 50% of the damage. And people are probably watching it going like, wow, I'm excited to see how much damage Snick Track's going to be reflecting. Is it going to add up to too much? Here's the problem with reflect damage. That damage that is hit into shields, again, you can see those zeros ticking up on Head of Wrath, does not reflect any damage.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't reflect that. And
yeah,
this is a big problem with Snick Track, a really big problem, because it's not even a case of, well, you simply don't bring a shield champion with him. He is a shield champion. He's got one of the best shields in the game on his A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. So he himself
yeah.
is providing lots of shields. So in this sort of Hydra context, how much damage does the reflect damage do? Actually, not very much at all, because the majority of it is doing a whole bunch of zeros because it's damage that is being hit into our shield skills. Because the shields are just very tank with the ally protection and the strength of his shield. It's just very, very strong.
I was really excited about that as well because when I read
Yeah.
this kit, I thought maybe this is like a new play on like a Underpriest Brogni or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to give like a buff to the reflect damage because as you said, I've always found it a bit underwhelming with the amount that you reflect.
Yeah.
And I was really excited for him to like send back like all those millions or something. I don't know what I had in my head.
I
But
know, I know. I
yeah,
wonder maybe you like you or someone else could put together a cool team, perhaps in Clan Boss, where it's like you tank the first AOE without a
yeah.
shield, and then the shield absorbs the second AOE or something. I don't know, but it's definitely in Hydra. We'll see his damage numbers at the end here, but it's definitely fairly underwhelming. You can see that Wuji didn't have her buffs up at that point. I think was Lanicus eaten or something like I don't know. Something happened. She didn't have enough buffs. And
Oh, the head of torment.
stole from someone else. Yeah, so the Head of Torment. So this is definitely going to mess us up a bit. Wuji is obviously going to be fine. That's the nice thing about her. She's veiled, so she's going to be good. And Ragash is going to be veiled a good bit of the time as well. But the other champs aren't, so this is definitely going to mess things up. There's going to be a lot of RNG. And yeah, we're still going full manual, though, so we'll just see how
Yeah.
it works out luck-wise, as it were.
So in terms of Wuji, like obviously you love the Hydra, you're always on the Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend her like throughout this fusion? Because obviously, like that's like the main showcase of this
Yeah,
video. I
yeah,
was just
yeah.
thinking, like, do you feel like she's someone that we should be going for? And if so, what kind of players should be going for it?
Mm. Do you want me to skip to the end of the run and show people
Oh yeah,
the
okay, yeah, cool.
score? Okay, so let's go to the end of the run. Well, first of all, we go here. There's the 25 million. Not too bad. We're hitting that. We're up now to 34 million, and we're going 38 million, 46 million,
Whoa,
48
whoa.
million, 49. And at the end, people start getting eaten really because we're up at turn 212. So
Yeah.
this team did not wipe, and yeah, we get to the very end. Here we go. And here was the score at the end. So 22 minutes, 53 seconds. We went over 200 turns, and we got 50.18 million damage.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Where was that in the faction games?
I know, right? I know.
Oh,
But here's the
man.
crazy thing, and this is why I really like Wuji. Look at her damage.
That is.
Yeah.
I just kind of answered that question. No,
Yeah.
that's pretty substantial, 'cause especially with someone like a buff extender. Even if you don't have a Lanikis, maybe just having like a Godseeker Neri, the new Anchorite champion.
Yep.
Like just having those buff extenders in your team, extending that counter attack, being able to resist most of the mischief tank
Yep.
stuff, and that A1 always dealing that War Master damage as well. I think that's look at the damage compared to Ruel. It's not
I
that
know.
far off, right?
It's insane. Like, this was actually crazy to me because, again, Ruel, I don't have him in Savage, but I thought that Relentless would add up to more. I don't know if that's true, but, I mean, he was built with much better offensive stats than her. So that's what was so impressive to it for me. It's just all of those counterattacks adding up. So, yeah, I mean,
I guess
it's
the
nuts,
way
right?
that I guess with a champion like Wuji, it's kind of like the champion itself. I'd say is maybe B tier, like
Yeah.
just standing alone.
Oh, yeah.
But once you start pairing a team like this around it, we've got ultimate support, you've got extensions,
Mm-hmm.
and you're lasting a very long time. That's probably where you're gonna see the most value. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess it's just situational. It comes down to the players' accounts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
you can see
she's solid.
with Snick Track's damage, I'm not sure how the reflect damage stuff is calculated, if it shows up like for others or whatever, but I really don't think the reflect damage from him is contributing too much, but the shielding, the ally protection was really, really good for helping to keep the team alive, and just the leech, again, you can see the healing, they're all healing themselves basically just from the damage from the leech. Or else they're just not taking that much. Like, their actual damage taken is quite low thanks to the shields from him and from Mithrala, the increased defense from Mithrala. So there's other teams you could definitely put together. Like, this is not the only team, but with Wuji, I think you definitely want champions with shields. You definitely want probably a strengthen in there. You want stuff to just reduce the damage he's going to take. Shielding is particularly good because, like, with a Mithrala shield, a Brogni shield, etc., shields that scale off of the caster's health rather than the recipients is going to be really good because she's got good defense. Her damage mitigation is good, and she's going to heal a lot if you got leech, but she just doesn't have any of that max HP. She can just get one shot really easily, so shields is really good. Basically, what I think, to answer your question properly, of would I recommend this champion, I actually think that with the deficiency of this base HP, I think she's really going to struggle in Brutal or Nightmare, like you were saying, but for a newer player, coming into normal or hard Hydra, I actually think she's phenomenal. I think she's really good. Her damage output is great just from the fact that she's AoEing and triggering War Master with all these counterattacks. And I think as well, like, I've built her like this, which works because we're in a really tanky team with lots of protection. You could put her in with a Reviver in a different type of team. Lanathril would go well with her with the shield as well. But you could potentially like ditch this crit damage and ditch a bunch of the attack and just try to crank her defensive stats higher, and she's going to still do a really good job mischief tanking. She's going to be providing AoE weaken, which is kind of rare, There's not that, like we've got like Lydia's and Sissia's and all the rest. Like, we have sources of weaken in our teams, but for I'm thinking about a new player getting their foot into normal for the first time. AoE weaken is tough to come by. AoE block buffs is tough to come by. A mischief tank is tough to come by. She comes in, and even if you build her more defensive than this, I think she can do it because of that AoE War Master. She's going to be a good damage dealer that's tanking mischief, sometimes blocking buffs. She's going to pair well with Deliana if you got her. AoE weaken. Like, I actually think she's really good. Yes, I actually think she's great.
And the good thing is like, if you can keep proccing that counterattack, then you're able to always do AoE abilities only with that A1 and A2.
Yeah,
so you're
exactly.
literally hitting every head at all times, War Master at all times.
Yeah.
As you said, I think Deliana would be huge as well for the early game accounts out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Deliana, I stole her boots, but she comes in and she's going to come in and give you another AoE block buffs. So you got the two sources backing each other up. She's doing AoE healing. She's putting out the leech as well. So that stuff is really going to combo well. Even if you need it, the decreased resistance, if you can't get enough accuracy on your Wuji, that decreased resistance could help you come in with Wuji and then actually start landing that weekend. So I'm gonna be honest, man. I actually am more interested in getting Wuji than I am about the legendary fusion, like than
Oh,
Lanathra.
really?
I don't know.
Yeah. She looks sick as well. It's something out of Mortal
Yeah.
Kombat.
Yeah, she looks super badass. But yeah, I've been really impressed with her. She's very similar to Aboro. I've did a guide on Aboro before.
Yeah.
Aboro is easier to build. She's got much more base HP, 15k. She's 50% more health. Lower defense, mind you. Good bit lower. And then
Yeah.
Aboro also, she gives herself increased crit rate, so it's easier to get her to actually hit hard or to be tanky and whatnot. And Aboro gives herself like 4 buffs. I tried to run the two of them together and it didn't work because Aboro puts on 4 buffs on herself: crit rate, crit damage, perfect veil, and revive
Yeah.
on death. So Abora was always getting targeted and Wuji wasn't, which meant that Wuji didn't do as much because she wasn't getting the counter attacks in from mischief. So Wuji is better on her own, and I think Abora is better than her overall, especially like for brutal, maybe even nightmare. But yeah, Wuji, she's good. I like her. There you go.
No, actually, I was going into this and I said 20 to 25 million. You
Yeah, yeah.
literally doubled that. So you
Yeah.
blew me away for that team as well. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, man.
I just love, it's my favorite thing is going in and like people say this champion is absolutely trash. Why would you use them? Like, well, here we go. This is what they could do. So
People always say like I'm crazy because you know like when new champions come out, like
yeah,
most players kind of get themselves in a rhythm of they compare them to the best champions in the game with every single champion.
yeah,
Like, does it hit harder than Trunda? Does it heal more than this champion? But I feel like if you break down the kits and depending on the team, they're all good in their own rights. Like, obviously not every champion. Like, there's champions like Noble out there that's trash.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think there's
Uh-huh.
always more that meets the eye at first glance, and I think people just jump the gun a bit too quick. I
Yep.
think.
100%.
But
Well, there you go. What we're going to do, guys, we are going to jump right on over right now. And if you like this idea of seeing what these epic champions can do in the fusion, what they might do for your account if you grab them, we're jumping over to YST's channel, and he's going to be showing us what you can do with Anchorite, who is probably the one that people are most excited to see as well. Yeah, so there you go.
It's gonna be so cool to showcase. Yeah, I can't wait to show you this.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, and potentially he's a good combo as well with that increased ally buffs. It's a rare skill, so potentially putting the two together, might not be too bad. Might not be too bad. We'll see. We'll see.
I think he'd be phenomenal for Hydra, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, 100%. So there you go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. YST, any last words here for the video?
No, thank you just so much for having me on again, and probably come back on the next batch of new champions.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys again then.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.